find the rest. Boss wants them dead.
Looks like the demons are moving in on Fisk's territory.
You got this?
I got this.
What's up, YouTube? What's going on? It's DSPyro, aka Django Jr. This video right now is going to be about Spider-Man on the PS4. I can't lie at all. I'm very hyped about this game. It's Spider-Man that's been done well, and that hasn't really happened since Spider-Man 2. Well, at least for the swinging. The swinging so far looks amazing, watching that gameplay trailer from E3 and the gameplay as well that was released last year. It looks amazing. From the swinging all the way up to the gameplay itself. Graphically, it just looks awesome. So beautiful. I can't wait. The story as well, from what's been explained, it seems like it's going to be an original story, similar to how Batman Arkham Asylum was an original story. So it'll take little bits and pieces from the comic book lore itself, but for the most part, it's going to be an original story, which I think is going to be really nice, especially from what I've seen from the gameplay. The gameplay itself reminds me a lot of the Arkham games themselves as well, which, to be fair, Arkham games seem to have taken a lot of gameplay from the old school Spider-Man games as well, with the way you have the counters as well, but improved on them a lot. And if you've played the Arkham games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what kind of struck me most now with this game, as opposed to the Amazing Spider-Man 2, is the Predator aspect of Arkham seems to be heavily implemented into this game from what we saw in E3 a couple weeks ago. And that makes me happy. I'm not gonna lie at all. I love the Arkham games. They're amazing games. So for them to do that, I think what they're trying to do is take the system that was originally theirs, I guess you could say, and improve on what the Arkham games have, and just make them better. And I'm not going to be mad at that. People can say, oh, they're copying. Let it be. It's okay. And I think that it works so well with the game itself. I love it. Aside from the gameplay, what really got me hyped about this astonishing game...
It's over. Come on, dude, let's go. Miles!
Miles Morales. That's right. Miles freaking Morales. He is in this universe. The clip at the end of that gameplay got me good. I was not expecting it. I'm so happy about that. I think what I was thinking about for a very long time now when I saw that was DLC. Now, admittedly, I don't really like when things are DLC. I'm pretty old school when it comes to these kinds of things. Put it in the game, make it unlockable, everything is fine. That's just the way it was. Obviously, things have changed now. I've come to accept this, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. With that being said, I think most likely the best thing they could do to not impact the main story, depending on what they're doing, which not many things are known about yet, is putting Miles Morales Spider-Man as DLC. Now, I don't want it to be paid for, considering that there are many games that are doing free DLC. But if they do make it paid for and it's done well, I will spit out cash for that. In the game itself, I think Peter Parker is about 23 years old. So he's been Spider-Man for a while. Been swinging around New York for a very long time. And apparently there's no origin story. So you're pretty much going to be a badass from the beginning, swinging around and everything. Like how you are in the Arkham games again. There's going to be a lot of reference to Arkham in this because that's what it's like. So with no origin story, you generally have your powers to begin with. Of course, I'm pretty sure there's going to be upgrades of some sort, but out of necessity rather than being at the beginning of the game, you can beat everyone up and you just get things just to look cool. I think now they've learned what can make a good Spider-Man game, and they've learned that from the Arkham games. What I think they can do for this DLC, they've got two main routes, I think. The first one, spoiler alert, is the death of Spider-Man. That arc is pretty much where Peter Parker dies. I already said spoiler alert, so it's there. You got it. And it's epic the way he fights, and you could create the DLC around this. So essentially, you would start off fighting as Peter Parker Spider-Man, fighting all of his enemies like it happens in the comics, and you're fighting a losing battle. You know this is where it ends. You keep going, but eventually you succumb to all your wounds and you bite the dust. You get a little bit of a cinematic showing that Miles was actually watching, and as it happens, there's kind of a big crowd in the comics, and they're off to the sides, just at the ends, watching as Spider-Man fights off all these foes, and he just boom out. And by this point, you already have your powers. Admittedly, Miles was also bitten by a spider, but in a different way, which would be really good for the story as well. You can see that as well, and sort of, I guess you could say, flashbacks as well. At the death of Spider-Man, you're not really sure what to do. Do you take up the mantle of Spider-Man because you've got similar powers, which would be great for the gameplay as well? Or do you hide and not do anything, or do you just become your own hero? Now, in the comics, he's got a best friend called Genki, I think it is. And he advises you to save people the best way that you can. You become Spider, your first outing is you in a homemade outfit. Just there, or maybe even you buy a store, sorry, not a store, you buy an outfit from like a Halloween place as Spider-Man, something like that. It's similar to what they do in the comics as well. He goes to a store and buys a Spider-Man outfit. People are not happy to see this. They don't want it because it's too soon after. People need time to mourn for the death of Peter Parker Spider-Man. And it's only been a few weeks, you're trying to go out, you're trying to do the right thing, as it were. But they're not happy. Once enough time passes, you eventually go out in a new suit with different colors. So they would kind of have a homemade outfit again, where it's more dark blue and black with the red, like how Miles Morales' costume actually is. When you come back from your outing, so you have a couple of a nice set pieces of gameplay where you're out saving random people from a robbery here, robbery there. Nothing really too big yet because you haven't really gotten any villains, you're just still starting out. Once you get back into your house where Miles lives in New York, there's a box in his room. And in that box is a new Spider-Man outfit, which is the one that he has, the full black with the red lining and the dark blues and the eyes, all of that with the spider on the chest. That's the one that you're looking for. You get that. And you get invited to the headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. to become a fully fledged superhero, test out the suit, your powers properly in a controlled environment where from at that point, I guess you could get some sort of upgrades as well that would be there where you learn some new powers. And really, that's only the tip of the iceberg for that story. There's so much more that you could do with that and beyond the part. It doesn't mean that, oh, you only go through, save a cat out of a tree at the beginning of it and then that's it. It needs to be bigger. The second route that they could really go with is the Spider-Verse. Now, the Spider-Verse was a crossover event just for the Spider-Man landscape. And it had a multitude of Spider-Men and women, and it gave birth to Spider-Gwen, who is awesome. I think an amazing thing they could do is blend these. It's sort of like what Arkham Knight did with their story packs for characters like Red Hood, Harlequin, Nightwing, and even Red Robin. Not Red Robin, sorry, they did one for Robin and Batgirl. While the DLC for Arkham was actually relatively short, it's about half an hour to an hour long, depending how long you decided to take to beat up your opponents and do the stealth parts. The idea itself is spectacular, and I think Insomniac could do it in such a superior way. If they mix the Spider-Verse story with the Death of Spider-Man story, you can introduce Miles straight off the bat very easy. And from that point onwards, with the Spider-Verse story, you can get Gwen Stacy as Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, as she's more commonly known. You can get Spider-Woman herself, Jessica Drew, who's old school. You can get Spider-Man 29-9, who was in Shattered Dimensions. You can even get Spider-Man Noir, again, who was in Shattered Dimensions. Spider-Man Noir is one of my favorite Spider-Men as well. He does use guns from time to time to either injure or kill, but that's a topic for another video. But I think if they do this right with the implementation of the Spider-Verse itself, or even the death of Spider-Man, or implementing any other Spider-Man with a story, I think the sales of the comics can go huge for Spider-Man. It's already popular, but I think a game like they did back in the day that got people more into comics is something they can do right here. And I would love for them to do that. I think a fleshed out story, that's about at least 2 to 5 hours of gameplay for each character pack, would be amazing. That gives longevity, and you can charge a fair amount for that as well. If they're talking about making money from the game, doing something with characters that people either have a hint of or already love, people are going to spend money on that. The season pass for Arkham Knight was extortionate pricing, but as a huge Batman fan, I got it and I played it. And I loved it. As short as those character packs were, I loved it. And you can add costumes for other characters as well if you don't want to make that character into the game. That's fine. You get the costumes like you did in the old school games just there. Once you complete the game, you'd be able to use them in the full game just to free roam around and do things there as well. In the DLC, maybe you could even just limit the space you can swing to a large portion of New York, or just do it in the boroughs that these individual characters are in. Either way, having enough room to swing as Spider-Man or a Spider-Woman is what you want, as long as you've got the freedom to do that. That's cool. That's just what you want. Being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the core of that in any game is swinging. So once they can do that in the DLC, in enough area, that's what people are going to want. That's what I want, and I think the majority of people who like Spider-Man and enjoy the games, it's because of the swinging. You can fight people in pretty much any game, but this game, the Spider-Man PS4 game, looks to be one of the best Spider-Man games since Spider-Man 2, and I cannot wait to early 2018, to play this game, give you guys a review, and hopefully they've got some really good news for Miles Morales in this game, because that's what I'm looking forward to the most, funny enough. Not just the main game, but Miles Morales, that hint, that got me. I cannot wait. With that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Fiskmen have fled through the building. Eliminate them.
Yep. Should have worn a helmet.
Pretty sure he's dead. So much for not killing. Yeah, he's also dead. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's dead, or at least got severe brain damage. Seriously, if those guys aren't dead, then what?